This is the Doug is Okay podcast, where we discuss culture, tech, and good times.
So we're sitting here with Jared. We're just having some fun.
Yes, we are. We're having fun out after dinner, back on the patio.
Yeah, back patio. This was supposed to be the pool, and I think Jared was a little bit intimidated by my Speedo.
Yeah, ultimately, I thought it was kind of weird to do a podcast at the pool, but we could do it next time.
Yeah, I think we will do that next time, and because you kind of asked to do it on my back porch, I am wearing a Speedo, and I'll pick up an extra pair of socks to fill it out a bit.
And I'm wearing one of those
onesies.
No. I'm wearing one of those things on your eyes when you go to sleep, so I can't see.
I thought you were going to break out your mankini.
No, I don't have one, but
okay, that's good.
It's something I've been looking at on the internet.
You will. It's okay. Let's talk about this, because I was liking you more for not having one, but the fact you said you've spent a lot of time perusing on the internet for one makes me worried.
Well, you don't have to be worried, because I'm not going to wear it around you.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, your wife might like that. And my wife would like that as well. So, anyway, I
don't think so. I think you're lying.
Yeah, this is something I've really been. We've been talking about this for a long time.
Yes.
Jared's actually been the inspiration for this pod, and I don't know if you know this or not, but the title of this pod is "How to Get Wealthy" by Jared.
That's what I know a lot about. Well, selling tortillas is something you make a ton of money at. So.
Jared's immensely successful, and it's a great honor and a privilege for me to call him a friend, and a good friend at that too. And I'm just very grateful for him being in my life.
Likewise.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. It depends how you define success. Because
well, that's what we're going to talk about. But he's very modest as well. So just, dear listener, just be aware that
I am modest, but I am a nationally recognized podcast host.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
So I will say I'm very popular in a small fragment of the internet.
Well, I think you're very popular with every single person I've met. And to tell you the truth, I'd actually heard about you before I met you.
No.
Yeah, I did.
So you've been hiding this whole time? You haven't told me this story?
Well, look. I mean, there was how I don't even want to say this, but I met your wife first, which is weird. But there was another guy that had mentioned you before. You know?
That is not okay.
That's not okay.
I feel like didn't you take my wife to another country? Or no, you went to another country.
I went to another country with my
wife.
But actually, that's good. Let's talk about that. Are you okay? Because that's kind of the podcast. Like, Doug is okay. Jared, are you okay?
I'm okay.
You doing good?
Yeah, I'm okay. Well, right at the moment, my family's out of town, and I don't do super well with that. But
okay.
In general, I'm okay.
Yeah, I think you're great. If your next pod needs to be called Jared is great.
So you just want to be okay, but I can be great? Is that
well, truth be told, a lot of people are wondering if I'm okay, and I want to reassure them I'm doing great, but I don't want to boast too much. But I mean, okay.
I will say I've had my doubts, but now that we're recording a podcast about it, I feel a little bit better about you. You know?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but so Jared's a big ball fan, right?
Ball fan, yeah.
But basketball. I know very little about it. And I think it was Jared that told me that, because let's back it up. We really became closer friends when we watched that episode on Netflix about the 90s.
We watched that?
Well, I'd watched it and was a bit ashamed about myself watching it, and then Jared told me he was enjoying it, so that kind of made me like him even more.
Well, I definitely like the 90s. I grew up in the 90s.
We were both interested in the 90s. And then, so full disclosure, at that time I took a deep dive on the 90s. I watched both series, one on Netflix and one on Amazon Prime. Both were very good. This kind of the premise is, for those who haven't watched, it's around Woodstock 99, but it does a good job at capturing the essence of the 90s, right?
I would say so. It's a little bit on the a wild side.
The 90s were wild, parts of the 90s, and I'm glad we've moved forward in some areas from the 90s. Yeah. So, well, after the deep dive, I really took a I'm quite inquisitive or curious as a person. I think I'll be remembered as. I think on my tombstone I should say Doug was very curious.
Not just okay.
Yeah,
curious and okay.
Yeah, he was okay being curious.
There we go.
Yeah, and I read the book called The 90s. The audio. I say I read it. I listened to the audiobook.
It counts.
Yeah, and one thing that really stuck with me and annoyed a lot of friends, including Jared, about this was how the book. One should go and read it and fact check me here, but it definitely said a section about people who liked Michael Jordan. The book kind of inferred that he was an individual / selfish player. Would that be right? Or
well, I would say that he was very determined, and
okay.
he was. He was better than everybody, so
okay.
there is that.
Yeah, he was a great player because I remember. This is going to be amusing for you, but my friend Paul liked everything American. He had the candy. He had a humongous picture of Michael.
And this is when you were in South Africa.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and he had a humongous picture of him on his wall, and he had all the shoes and everything.
Oh yeah, so he was not just nationally a superstar. He was a global superstar.
Well, I suppose he was, but I personally am not interested in ball. Unless my interest in sports is I like to learn about it and I'm curious. I'm sure I've annoyed you with questions about sports.
No, I'm always willing to chat it up.
And that's what I enjoy about you, because you're also a good narrator of sport and the rules and the etiquette. But just to close out the 90s book, the author not only inferred that Michael Jordan was a determined player or selfish or individual, but he said that fans of him must be too.
I think it's one of those things where like Jordan was just always striving to be the best.
Okay.
And while that's like I think a good quality, right? It's a good thing, like to want to do things well, but like there's a story which I don't even know if I've told you this, but he actually punched one of his teammates during practice in the face. Have you heard this story?
No, but
was it in the book?
I like him. No, it wasn't, but I like him less. Well, that,
yeah, but see, like what it was he's so competitive and like so. Hey, we're gonna win the championship. We're gonna do what it takes.
Gotcha.
So whether right or wrong, probably wrong to an extent, right?
Yeah.
He was kind of known as like
brash.
Yeah, brash, but also like he backed it up. So it was kind of like
that's a great point, because like you talk about like personally I have a tolerance for someone who's a bit rude, maybe arrogant, if they can back it up.
Yeah.
But how many people do we know that are like that are far from backing it up?
Yeah, that's true.
And that they're emulating success, but they haven't attained it.
Well, I think someone that might be, when it comes to success, like sometimes people become maybe insecure, even though I would say it's maybe an insecurity. They want to act brash, or they want to act the best, or they want to kind of be like that determined word, I guess. Like they use that as maybe like an excuse or a way to.
So I get visualization. This comes down to being you hugely financially successful, like visualization. And I get that. Would you say that some people are trying to visualize? They're acting. They see successful people be brash, and they think I can visualize myself being successful by being a rude punk.
Maybe. I think it's like what's celebrated in culture is different than maybe what's right, or what's like the best way to live. So like
I'm with you.
I think like when it comes to Jordan, it's like he's seen as successful, which he was, like in one way, right? He definitely was.
No, he was.
Championships, all these different things.
And that's something
but
I'm not going to
think
take away from the guy. Like I know absolutely all I know about Michael Jordan is what I read in the 90s book.
Yeah.
And what Jared's told me. And then I've heard that other mutual acquaintance talking about him ad nauseum, and I don't listen to everything that guy says, but like a little bit. I've heard a little bit about Jordan. That's all I know about Jordan. But we have to both celebrate that he was. Could we say he was the best of the best at the time?
I mean, really, he's considered the best basketball player of all time.
Okay, so that let's
by most, or at least by many.
So we are not going to take that away from him at all. But we're talking about. So I guess what we're talking about here is personal attributes.
Mm-hmm.
Punching one's player, I'm not sure. At that point, I'm out. I'm.
You what?
I'm out.
On MJ.
I'm out. Like you're playing sport. Someone clocks me in the face during practice. I'm done.
Well, it actually recently happened. There's another player, Draymond Green, that did the same thing.
Oh man!
So this just happened last fall.
Yeah.
And the player that he punched, Jordan Poole, they ended up playing the whole season, but now there's been a tension this whole season. At least that's the way people are reading into it.
I'm sure. So what team? So
Golden State.
Pardon my ignorance. What team?
Golden State Warriors.
Oh, Golden State's okay.
And they won the championship in 2022 last year, and then this year they were a good team still, but did not.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but I have a premise that only stupid people are mean.
Okay.
Because kind of the premise goes like this, that if everything's going well for you, you're very smart, you're not threatened by anything. You've got the ability and the cognitive ability to really navigate through most complicated problems.
Yeah.
So there's no need to be worried about someone on Twitter or in person or at the election booth or anywhere, because you're confident in who you are.
Yeah, you've talked.
Definitely no, but like I think the premise. So in discussing the premise, is my friend Caleb said to me that he knows a lot of very, very, very stupid people that are nice. So and I didn't really. He didn't give me the chance to explain to him. I'm not saying stupid people can't be nice. I'm saying stupid people are mostly the ones being mean to others. And Caleb knows a lot of nice people, and I can 100% understand he knows a lot of stupid people as well.
I guess I don't know what the definition of stupid is, right?
Well, I think we can dial it back and say being mean about people, being a bit insecure in your surroundings, having to be mean about a neighbor at a kid's birthday party, to someone else to make yourself feel better because you're a money lender, payday lender, or something like that, and your friend's a schmuck who can't he's driving like a really pretentious old car thinking he's cooler than everyone else. You know the type, right? So that's the premise. It's just some food for thought, Yeah. I'm not sure how much we can really say about that.
Well, I hope I'm not that.
No, you're not. You're both extremely intelligent, extremely successful in life and business.
Loaded. And
finance. I think you're one of the more successful financial people I've met.
It's not true.
And
you don't know
I had
me.
a mentor previously who was worth $3 billion.
So you're defining success differently because I have $3.
Well, I think probably in your wallet or your trousers, but like I think so. One of the things, I was talking with a friend recently, kind of a mutual friend, and we were talking. That particular friend had a life-threatening condition, and we were talking like what really mattered, at the end of life. And my mentor sort of, I'd consider him a friend. I'm not sure if he thought I was a friend or a protege. I'm not sure, but he definitely. He left the planet at about 62, 63, made a huge impact on me, with all that money. And then you start looking back, like, what sort of quality of life did he have? And he did tell me he was a workaholic. So I think Well, it's different, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have always, while I care about, you know, being financially stable, financially well off,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily value it in the same way others do.
Yeah. No.
I try and value like stuff like this, talking, chatting.
Yeah. So well, this is actually what I heard. So long before I met you, and long before I went overseas with your wife. As weird as that sounds, we'll have to talk about that later. But I'd heard that you're someone who's generous with their time, and no matter what's going on in the day, you've got time to stop and speak to people. And I thought, wow, that guy sounds like a cool guy. And then I think you gave me a one-way trip to the airport, and I had to kind of Uber back home. So at that point, I was like, is this guy as cool as he was?
No, I think it was because it was like 4 a.m. or something.
Have been, yeah, I got a ride there. I just know that on the way home I had to hustle. Thankfully, someone took pity on me.
Well, yeah, because you took my wife overseas.
Yeah, that could be. She might have said something. So that was also even weirder. You know?
I was like, let's not do this, right?
Let's see. Well, we had enough of this guy. So no, good. Okay.
Well, it's one of those. Real quick, it's one of those things where I don't want to ever be. We've talked about this before, like in a hurry for everything, right? Because the world is full of hurry, and to me, you miss kind of what life is,
right?
And I kind of have this philosophy that like time is something that people made up,
right?
To an extent,
it is.
Yeah, I mean, it. While yes, there is a way of day and night, and there is like a set 24 hours to a day, but who decides that 24 hours has to be spent a certain way,
right?
There's a certain way that the world tells us, or like that people will tell us is, hey, you know, 8 to 5 is work, or 8 to 5 is school, or 8 to, and then this time to this time is activities, or this, you know, and while all that stuff is okay and good, I also know that like the best things come from being like disrupted. Like,
right. Agreed.
I don't think being so regimented with time or with just what I have is like the best way to live. And I always find the most fulfillment comes from being disrupted in my day.
Yeah.
So whether that's I'm at the store and I run into this person that needs this or wants to talk. I mean, because honestly, in stores or at places or at school or in the park or wherever it is, there's a lot of people that want to just talk.
Yeah, I'm one of them. I mean, I phoned you when I was out on the East Coast, right? You get an early morning phone call for
a 6 a.m. Starbucks call.
Yeah, a Starbucks call. So I at least had a time to eat a golly, what is that thing? An egg sandwich or something from Starbucks and drink my coffee, and then I'm still talking to you. at which point, after about 45 minutes, you probably had to get on with something more useful. So I really valued that in you, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where obviously you can't always do that.
No.
But you have to allow that. At least that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Is you have to allow some space in your life. I like it's like disruption or like.
I love disruption.
That's a good word, and I also think just
Could you say connection?
Connection. It's just like spontaneity. Everything in life. Life. You don't know what life's going to bring,
right?
And so if you're only going to be regimented in the way you live, you don't leave room for that extra talk or that extra, ear to listen to somebody, or that extra help for your neighbor, or that extra time with your kid. I mean, I'm not great at these things all the time, of course, right?
But I mean, this is one thing I'm bad at: to stop and talk to. Like I've noticed in parks and stuff. I'm sure you've had it too with your kids. When other kids will come up and talk to you because possibly they have an absent parent or something. Yeah. And I must say that I haven't always been generous in that area, and it's something I'm going to take away from this pod, is take with me to be I want to be more generous. I mean, I think you're an outstanding example of someone who's generous with their time.
Well, I appreciate that. I think one thing for you, as Doug is okay, I would say you're better than okay at, like, friendship. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, you not just like the friendship of, like, hey, you know, we have kids the same age. Like, that's good.
Right.
But like, you want to take it further.
Yeah.
You know, like, you want it to be more than just a surface level, I want
to grill at my house.
Yeah,
on Wednesday.
And then we talk about life. We talk about a pod. We talk about the things that we just find fun. Right. NFTs.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah, we definitely. Jared is big in the NFT. He got me kind of into it, and we had a. I mean, do you mind me sharing the story?
I guess. I don't know.
We had a nasty argument about whether the authenticity of my MFR NFT. Is that right? Or
yeah, we did.
You did have that argument.
I don't know if it was nasty. I think you didn't.
It wasn't nasty.
You didn't appreciate me being honest with you.
Well, no, what it was, truth be told, is I was like, what is this thing? And then I was like, oh, you got an MFR. I go, yeah, oh, wow, man, I've got something cool. And then you told me it possibly wasn't authentic. Well, and then I kind of had disappointment, which may have come across. How would it come across? Possibly.
Well, I think it was like a maybe a little bit let down, or maybe a little bit
disappointed. The disappointment was expressed, and I think sometimes if you're talking to someone and they're disappointed, you're like, what? Did I cause this? Or I don't do this, for the record. I mean, I have to edit some of the things I say. We were talking about that in the car earlier.
We want to edit our lives sometimes, right?
Yeah, my kid reported some bad language to Jared in the car this afternoon, but
I only judged you a little bit.
That's fine. I judged myself for that, you know, and certainly got judged for it. But you know, it's a very interesting thing. I think our society, like, I'm obviously I've traveled internationally. I lived in 4 different continents. Had a bit of a disrupted life, and I've really valued other cultures. You know, where they take the time.
Well, and that's what I've learned, honestly, from you, because I grew up in the Midwest. I've only been in the center of the United States. I don't know much else. Like, really, I don't. And most of what I know is from learning from you, or learning from some other friends that have been places.
Right.
You know, and so I find it interesting, some of the things you've talked about with.
Well, I think your lifestyle honestly would translate well to some other places, because you're different.
That's the way you make it sound, and I
agree. I'm going to put you to the test. We are going to do a pod in an interesting place. Okay.
Yes.
Let's commit to that. Okay, that's a commitment. That's a public commitment to. I'm going to put Jared somehow on a plane, and we're going to go somewhere different, to be decided. Mm-hmm. And we'll record from there.
It's actually got me thinking. You say that a lot, and it's like, if I went to these places, would I end up wanting to stay there? Because there's part of me that thinks I would.
You might like that. I mean,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because you know, when we live a life that we only know what we only know,
right?
Then we don't know what's possible always.
Yeah.
And like, that's the same thing. That's kind of like my philosophy with this disruption or time or spontaneity. It's like, we don't know what's possible if we've never tried or experienced it.
I know, that's something
right?
we talked about recently in my family, where we were inspired by our family that took their kids around the world for a year. They took them out of school, and they literally traveled for a year. And I always thought that it wouldn't be possible, but it turns out that for me and my domestic partner, she's going to love that term.
What'd you say about editing?
My domestic partner, my roommate, me and my roommate.
Oh, come on,
no, my wife would be. She's open to it, and I kind of like, and then it comes back to what's a good time for it. Mm-hmm. If you were to sit and plan it out, there's never a good time for this.
Well, that's the thing.
I guess before you die is a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of just falls along that theme of disruption and spontaneity and time and what matters and all these things, because we can always find an excuse for the time not to be right.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
Then that's everything in life.
Yeah.
But, we don't have time for our kid because we're busy doing this. We don't have time for our neighbor because we're busy doing this. We don't have time for our friend because we're busy doing this. And again, sometimes those busy things are fine and good. But if you're so full of good, are you going to really find the best things?
Yeah.
There's something better than good.
Yeah. And so that's kind of a good segue into this, with the COVID problem a few years back. I know a lot of people suffered and a lot of people had lost, so we're not making light of that, and I know a lot of kids suffered from the schools closing and masks and for young kids and things like that. But I personally, for me, it was an epiphany that I don't have to spend my day in the office, and I'm never going to spend the day in the office ever again, the whole day. And I have a fear, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I have a fear that some people are going to try and drive our society back to that. Because I feel like during that shutdown period, people connected with relatives they hadn't spoken to a long time. I know you said you got to spend an uninterrupted 4 hours of family fun playing some computer game.
Brawl Stars.
Would you ever look back and regret that? I don't think you would.
No, I will say, like you said, though, it was a hard time.
It was hard. I mean, I definitely.
But there are a lot of things that you think about from that time, and you're like, well, that was actually good, and that was actually, there was a slowdown for sure.
I'm doing what you shouldn't do, and I'm just taking one part out of something. And just focusing on that area. Well, maybe it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not bad. I think that's
we definitely connected a bit during COVID.
Shouldn't we learn from experience and learn from even if it was a hard or painful time? Shouldn't you learn from that? Because I think that's the idea is, things can be bad, but does the whole experience have to be bad? No, right?
Well, I've just rightly or wrongly, I just hold on to the good in life. And even if someone is rude and untoward, I try to put it out of my mind. I try my best. I mean, I'm still processing a few different people in close proximity. Not you, but in my life.
I'm just a few feet away.
No, there was something where some schmuck was badmouthed me at a kid's birthday party. Absolutely zero tolerance for that, but it's difficult to let that go, but I obviously do your best to do so. I'm sure you've had the same.
But I think that's cool what you said you learned about just working in the office and not having to work in the office, and just finding that reality that life doesn't have to necessarily be how it was before always, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we moved forward. So
there can be difference, there can be change, there can be
I mean, and I appreciate there are definitely some jobs that one should be in the office. So you're having open heart surgery. It'd be awful if the guy was doing that from Zoom, right?
Well, yeah, but the thing is
I know we're very lucky to be able to, if you work in an office or you're doing certain, we're totally appreciative and respectful of people that have to be at work. I'm glad law enforcement are at work for the most part.
I mean, the fact of the matter is
fire department
during all the COVID stuff, I mean, I was out working every day in the grocery stores, and it's not like I couldn't do that job from.
So was it quieter
from a distance?
I know I don't know much about that period. I know truck drivers were celebrated for kind of being heroes, and I think people were really appreciative of people providing food for them.
Yeah,
I would. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely interesting because, of course, right away things were chaos.
Right.
For
there was no TP.
Probably for the first 2 months, maybe.
Yeah,
and then things became really, honestly, And when I talk about like being hard for me, like it became kind of eerie because it became like where the stores were pretty quiet. There wasn't much going on, and it was kind of just a different operation. It was like it wasn't what we were used to.
Right.
It was, yes, I'm still going to the stores. Yes, I'm still delivering this stuff. Yes, I'm still interacting with a few people.
Right.
But I'm not getting that same experience like I am today or like I was before.
Right.
So that part was definitely different. And honestly, like challenging, because the part that I struggled with was it kind of put me in a place where it felt the opposite of what life should be.
Right, it was like that. I mean, we were all sitting at home, getting, generally speaking, getting boatloads of money for nothing.
But yeah, lots of NFTs. But no, like that's what I really struggled with, was the fact that we're living this life that doesn't seem like life.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was, and maybe in some ways rightfully so, but in a lot of ways I think maybe not. We were we weren't very social because we really couldn't be social, or at least
I zoomed on the people that mattered to me. I remember we'd hang out. I think we hung out quite a decent amount on my patio, right? Yeah. But I remember we had a weird.
Yeah, and I think and we did have some of that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying like
it wasn't.
I'm talking about like just work interactions or just
so,
those interactions that we have with people, like the thing I talked about earlier with, I want to have those disruptions throughout my day.
Yeah.
And what happened was there was no disruption.
Yeah.
The world was disrupted.
Right.
But my personal life didn't have the disruption of like people, you know?
Right, yeah, and that's a great point, because actually you kind of turn a bit introspective in that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, look, definitely there were some painful things. I mean, at the time I was working with a guy who was 82 years old or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I left the office with COVID. I didn't get COVID, I left at the time. And I never saw that guy alive again, which, you know, like I didn't know him all that well, but I saw him every day, and we had a mutual respect for each other, you know. I mean, this probably get me judged, hopefully not by you, but me and him would go out and have a couple of cocktails at lunch.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the few people in our region who enjoyed a beverage at lunchtime. We're not talking about excessive drinking or anything. We're just talking about possibly having a business and lunch, and we'd be the only two guys having a beer or possibly an old-fashioned or something of that nature. But I never saw him alive after I left.
Wow.
And I didn't really think about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah,
because it wasn't like I phoned him after work a few times, just touched base with him, you're doing okay, and then I never saw him alive. He died. But he's someone who actually talk about time and life. He worked his entire life.
Yeah,
like full on, like.
Well, we were having this discussion at dinner just a minute ago. Okay. I was like, do I want? I mean, retirement is like one of those things where it's interesting because obviously, we would think that retirement leads to more time with people, more time for, you know, the things you love in life, or the things that you find joy in, or whatever, the things that are fun or whatever. And the fact is like, some of the things I love the most are the things I do at work.
I know. So,
you know, so
what happens if we said to you, hey, Jared, like, you don't have to do this, but you can. Yeah,
I think that's the...
And I think you said that's kind of where you wanted to go with
I think it would be one of those... be involved, but not be the day-to-day. Right, you know?
Yeah.
So I think the being involved fits this idea of what matters most, what I value, interactions with people, interactions with neighbors, interactions with friends, and...
right, so we've got a friend who gave he's actually a really cool guy. We'll have him on here at some point. I don't know him all that well, but I'm getting to know him well. But he gave my number to his insurance guy. And the guy phoned me like a bazillion times. And in what you talk about disruption, I've kind of got a policy that I, for the most part, take all the calls.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gone on about this a bit. So I thought, well, let me at least... I was actually... Full disclosure, I was going to meet him, have coffee, and then rush to something else that I had to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So I pigeoned him off, and then I could just, because I wasn't sure how well my friend knew him, and I didn't want to be disrespectful. But I met the guy, and he was a bit weird. Like, he showed up in a suit with sunglasses and looked like the Men in Black movie type thing, you know. And I was really over this, and then I thought, well, let me just push on and get to know him a bit. He had a fascinating life story. And I've agreed to meet with him regularly. And he said he doesn't push insurance. So I thought, thank you.
Yeah.
I was grateful for that, you know. But it was... So that was... I guess that was an interruption. It was a bit unpleasant at first.
Yeah.
But I pushed through, and now it's become a good thing. Right?
Yeah. I think that's one of the things is we become very ingrained in just our schedule, our... life and our what makes us the most comfortable,
right?
And to me, a lot of the best things in life are uncomfortable, at least at first, right?
Definitely.
At least at first, because anything new or anything, I think really almost anything of value is gonna be a little bit different or hard, or at least make you think, or just, you know, it's going to be a change in your in your way or in your normal rhythm or life. And so I think I don't know, I it's hard to put into words, but it's definitely something that I try and value.
And I think something that, back to the pod, I mean, this is going to be our first pod that's launched. We're never going to push an opinion here. We're just going to explore all different opinions of people and value the person and their opinion, which I think you're very good at as well. We don't have to agree. We don't have to condone or conform to, but we have to tolerate and respect people, right?
Well, it's love and values. Yes. Those are the kind of two things that I think, honestly, it's culturally is not always there, you know, like.
Well, we've gone from I don't want to say an opinion-based society to a tribal-based society, whereas you either agree and you're my friend, or you don't, and you're my enemy. Yeah, whereas what happened to living next? Because what other than you, what inspired this pod was, I mean, so one thing about Jared, and I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble for this one, but Jared is a connoisseur of gas station food, and I was kind of at this whole thing set up where we was going to pick up something at the gas station. We're going to have a lovely deal, but we came up with something better. But I had, so I'm similar, but I'm probably rude about it more than you are. I was eating sushi at an airport, so salad from like a gas station's one worse, but this is not much better. And I sat between a very attractive lady and another, and a guy, and there was one open seat at the sushi bar just between them. So I was like, this is going to interrupt them. Talk about disruption. But I'm like, I want my sushi, man. I'm going to hit as much sushi as I can eat before I get on the next flight. And we had a lovely conversation. I mean, the guy was obviously, there was some flirting, and then what got awkward is the guy had to catch his plane. It was just me left. Mm-hmm. And I never even got the girl's name, right? She didn't get become married and everything. But we had a delightful conversation with all three of us. And at no point in the conversation did anyone ask what I think about national debt or anything crazy, you know?
Yeah.
It was just a lovely conversation. And about, I would say about, I mean, and you can agree with this or not, But I would say about 90% of our conversations, 93% of our interactions, people agree on stuff.
Yeah.
You know, for the most part.
I would say that's true. Because I think
exploring the same things, right?
Yeah, I think we all experience life a lot more similar than we give credit to, right? So
everyone eats their breakfast.
Exactly.
But I know you get some people that intermittent fasting and the weight loss crowd, and one guy's having an Arbonne shake.
Yeah, but we all still need food.
Yes,
in some fashion, right?
Everyone goes to the restroom.
Yeah.
You know, it's that spirit that I think really needs to be explored.
Mm-hmm. But not everyone knows gas station food like I do.
I'm actually working on something. So I talked to another friend, and this I think this could excite you. Do you like Indian food?
Not had a ton of it. If I'm being honest.
So there's apparently.
But I like most food.
There's apparently a gas station around here that has incredible Indian food.
Okay.
So how about I say we get that other friend, and we do a pod from that Indian food at the gas station.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I think I actually have an idea of where it's at.
Yeah,
so.
I've tried to eat there before.
Okay.
It was too crowded. We couldn't get in.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it must be good. Best gas station food there is.
I think it was closed. Okay, full disclosure. But no, we'll definitely do that. But Jared, it's just been an absolute pleasure. I think we'll wrap this up here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lifetime of conversation with Jared.
Oh yeah, we can do it again.
Yeah, I'd love to do it again. I think we'll have to get spousal approval for the pool probably.
No Speedo though, right?
Yeah. Well, I had a Speedo, and it disappeared.
That probably tells you something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It didn't, you know. So
you're not your same surfer self like you were in South Africa.
I couldn't paddle into anything these days. You know, I'd love to. You know, but yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I truly consider it a huge honor to be friends with you. I'd love to push on. I think I don't want to disappoint the audience with how to get rich incredibly quickly. Jared will have to tell their secrets later. But just thanks for your time. And we're going to have you back. We're going to talk NFTs.
Yes. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
We really need to push on. We need to have a dedicated NFT session here.
That used to be how you get rich. That was my
that was his go-to. I'm just thinking, I broke even with Jared's
but they can still be fun. Everything in life.
And that's something we need to talk about too.
Yeah,
we'll
talk about that, yeah. Fun.
Yeah, thought for fun. All right, well, we're going to sign off here, and thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to our show today. Please consider supporting us on Patreon and following our progress on our website, dougisok.com. Until next time, stay okay.